Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for today's discussion of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We are reading from Adi Leela chapter 8, titled as the author receives the orders from Krishna and Guru. Nam Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswate Deva Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vande Gurun Isha Bhaktan Esham Eshavadarakan Tat Prakashamscha Tat Shaktihi Krishna Chaitanya Samnakam Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupaswarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from verse number 17 from the 8th chapter. So far we have read in the last verse was the most critical verse which we chant every day before we begin our chanting. Bahujanma kari yadi shravana kirtana tabutana paya Krishna pade premadhana. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavors to chant the holy name for many, many births, will not achieve the ultimate goal of this chanting. <clears throat> 17. ज्ञानतः सुलाभमुक्तिर्भुक्तिर्यज्ञादिपुण्यतः सेयं साधनः साहस्रैर्हारिभक्तिः सुदुर्लभा. By cultivating philosophical knowledge, one can understand his spiritual position and thus be liberated. And by performing sacrifices and pious activities, one can achieve sense gratification in a higher planetary system. But the devotional service of the Lord is so rare that even by executing hundreds and hundreds of such sacrifices, one cannot obtain it. Prahlada Maharaja instructs, Matirna Krishne Paratasvato va Mitho Bhipadyeta Grihavratanam. Bhagavatam 7:5-13. Again, Naishamatistavat urukramanghrim sprishyati anarthapagamo yadarthah mahiyasam padarajobhishekam nishkinchananam navrinita yavat. 7:5-32. These shlokas are to be discussed. Their purport is that one cannot obtain Krishna Bhakti or devotional service of the Lord by official execution of the Vedic rituals. One has to approach a pure devotee. Narottama Dasa Thakura sings, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Paye Chekeba. One who has been elevated without rendering service to a pure, who has been elevated without rendering service to a pure Vaishnava. It is the statement of Prahlada Maharaja that unless one is able to accept the dust from the lotus feet of a pure Vaishnava, there is no possibility of achieving the platform of devotional service. That is the secret. The above mentioned Tantra Vachana, quoted from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1:136, is our perfect guidance in this connection. So this verse is saying by cultivating philosophical knowledge, one can understand the spiritual position and thus be liberated. And by performing sacrifices, one can achieve sense gratification. But the devotional services the Lord is so rare that even by executing hundreds and thousands of such sacrifices, one cannot obtain it. So this is the glorification of bhakti when compared to jnana and karma and yoga. That's the point. Krishna yadi chute bhakte bhukti mukti diya kabhu prema bhakti na de na rakhe na lokaya. If a devotee wants liberation or material sense gratification from the Lord, Krishna immediately delivers it. But pure devotional service, he keeps hidden. So, the many instances which we see where our acharyas, because um, Vaishnava Acharya, especially Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, it is a it is an advanced institute to teach us pure devotional service. So that is why our acharyas quote this many times, because again in devotional service there is Kapila Muni also says this in Srimad Bhagavatam in his instructions to his mother Devahuti, where he says there could be bhakti in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance, and even in the mode of goodness. So there are three types of bhaktis. And this bhakti can be alloyed and unalloyed. Alloyed means contaminated with material desires. Unalloyed means no desires remain, not even the desire for liberation, and only serving the Supreme Lord in return for nothing, in return for only pleasure of the Supreme Lord. This is unalloyed devotional service. So therefore, Krishna will give what we want, but pure devotional service he will not give. He keeps hidden. That's what it means here. राजन् पतिर्गुरुरलं भवतां यदूनां दैवं प्रियः कुलपतिः क्वचः किङ्करो वः अस्त्व एनम् अङ्गभगवान् भजतां मुकुन्दो मुक्तिं ददाति कर्हिचित् स्मन भक्ति योगम्. The great sage Shukadeva said, "My dear Maharaja Parikshit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is always ready to help you. He is your master, guru, God, and very dear friend, and also the head of your family. Yet, sometimes he agrees to act as your servant or order carrier. You are greatly fortunate because this relationship is possible only by Bhakti Yoga. The Lord can give liberation, mukti, very easily, but he does not very easily give one Bhakti Yoga because by that process he is bound to the devotee. What does he not give? He does not very easily give one Bhakti Yoga because by that process he is bound to the devotee. Someone would like to read purport of 19?
Yes, Prabhu, I'll read it.
Yes, please.
This passage is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 5.6.18. While Sukadeva Goswami was describing the character of Rishabdev, he distinguished between Bhakti Yoga and liberation by reciting this verse. In relationship with the Yadus and Pandavas, the Lord acted sometimes as their masters, sometimes as their advisor, sometimes as their friend, sometimes as the head of their family, and sometimes even their servant. Krishna once had to carry out the order of Yudhishthira's by carrying a letter Yudhishthira has written to Duryodhan regarding peace negotiation. Similarly, he also became the chariot driver of Arjun. This illustrates that in Bhakti Yoga there is a relationship established between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the devotee. Such a relationship is established in the transcendental mellows known as Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. If a devotee wants simple liberation, he gets it very easily from Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed by Billa Mangala Thakur. Mukti Swam Mukulitanjali Sevate Smana. The supreme for a devotee, mukti is not very important because Mukti is always standing on his doorstep waiting to serve him in some way. A devotee, therefore, must be attracted by the behavior of the inhabitants of Vrindavan who live in a relationship with Krishna. The land, water, cows, trees, flowers serve Krishna in Shantaras. His servants serve him in Dasyaras, and his cowherd friends serve him in Sakyaras. Similarly, the elder gopis and gopas serve Krishna as father and mother, uncle and other relatives, and the young gopis, the cowherd girls, serve Krishna in conjugal love. While executing the devotional service, one must be naturally inclined to serve Krishna in one of these transcendental relationships. That is the actual success of life. For a devotee, to get liberation is not very difficult. Even one who is unable to establish a relationship with Krishna can achieve liberation by merging into Brahman effulgence. This is called Sayujya Mukti. Vaishnava never accepts Sayuj Mukti, although sometimes they accept the other forms of liberation, namely Swarupya, Salokya, Samipya, and Shashti. A pure devotee, however, does not accept any kind of mukti. He wants only to serve Krishna in a transcendental relationship. This is the perfectional stage of spiritual life. Mayavadi philosophers desire to merge into the existence of Brahman effulgence, although this aspect of liberation is always neglected by devotees. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, describing this kind of mukti, which is called Kaivalya or becoming one with Supreme, has said, Kaivalyam Narakayate, becoming one with the Supreme is as good as going to hell. Therefore, the ideal of Mayavadi philosophy becoming one with the Supreme is hellish for a devotee. He never accepts it. Mayavadi philosophers do not know that even if they merge into the effulgence of Supreme, this will not give them ultimate rest. An individual soul cannot live in the Brahman effulgence in a state of inactivity. After some time, he must desire to be active. However, since he is not aware of his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and therefore has no spiritual activity, he must come down for for further activities in the material world. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Arucha krichena param padam tatah patanti adho anadrita yusmat angreya. Because Mayavadi philosophers have no information regarding the transcendental service of the Lord, even after attaining liberation from material activities and merging into Brahman effulgence, they must come down again to this material world to open hospitals or schools or perform similar philanthropic activities.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any points you want to share, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu, I think the main important point is that mukti for a devotee is not at all a desire because mukti for them it's only service. Everything else is different. And with Mayavadis, you know, because they want ekatvam, kevalyam, and and it is said that Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur said that kevalam narkayate. That means it is as bad as hell. So that is probably one of the major difference between our philosophy and the Mayavadi's philosophers.
Yeah. And this is talking of pure devotional service. And we also notice, thank you, Prabhu. We also notice the mood of Srila Prabhupada in the purport. The mood of Srila Prabhupada is hammering the point of the Guru Parampara. Our Ishta Devata is Krishna. Which Krishna? Specifically Krishna in Vrindavana. And not only Krishna, but Krishna in the forest of Vrindavanas, of the 12 vanas, Dvadashavana. Yamuna Jivana Keli Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakora. So, Naam Sudharas Gau Krishna Yasha Rakho Vachana Mana Mora. The point is to chant the name of Krishna and then talk about Krishna. Of what Krishna? That pastimes that he has done in the 12 Mahavanas of Vrindavana. That pastimes he enacts with his father and mother in his Rasa of Vatsalya. That pastime he enacts with the Gopas in the mood of Sakhya, and that pastime he enacts with the gopis of his age. Prabhupada very clearly mentions in Madhurya, Madhurya Rasa, especially Parakiya Rasa, because Vrindavan pastime mein Krishna has specifically come to 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 kind of spread the Parakiya Rasa or enjoy the Parakiya Rasa in Vrindavan with his cowherd girlfriends. You see, so our mood is to meditate on those inhabitants of Vrindavana, of how they serve Krishna. This is the crux of our parampara and sampradaya, which is probably not available in any other Vaishnava sampradaya, especially those coming from the south, because they don't have access to Radharani and Vrajalila pastimes especially. So our affection is towards Vrindavan Krishna, Vrajanath Krishna. Our affection is towards Gopinatha. Our affection is towards specifically towards Gopinath, Radha Gopinath. And Prabhupada then brings in the Mayavadi philosophers as well, just to give a comparison. And then Prabhupada also quotes Bhagavatam, Aruhya Krichena Param Padam Tataha Patanti Adho Anadritayusmad Angrayah, because they will fall down. Patanti Adha, they will fall down again because they cannot be actionless, activityless in merging with the effulgent Brahman, because their realization remains partial and they will continue to seek. Their seeking would not have been completed. Therefore, they will not find any peace there. They won't rest. Ultimate rest you won't find. The ultimate resting place, every jiva in this creation is looking for an ultimate resting place, जहाँ पे वो सुकून की जिंदगी बिताएं. in Urdu they say सुकून, शांति की जीवन व्यतीत करना. What does that mean? To live a very peaceful life eternally. That can only be obtained under the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Radha and Krishna. Otherwise, the jiva will continue for eternity to seek such a resting place. And even if one gets to mukti, mukti here, in case of Mayavad, is just liberation from the material realm. They haven't taken to the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. So therefore, their seeking is not complete. And therefore, they continue to seek. And because of that seeking, they fall down. Why do they fall down? Because they do not agree that there is something beyond Kaivalya. They do not agree that there is something beyond the merging of the Brahman. For them, merging with the Brahman is all in all. They do not agree that Krishna's lotus feet is beyond Brahman. Krishna says, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina. Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhava mattah sarvam pravartate. Repeatedly he says that, but yet Mayavadi philosophers get confused. And because they do not take to Krishna's lotus feet, they consider Krishna to be a product of material nature, they cannot go forward. Therefore, they fall down. Patanti adhaha. So a lot of points Prabhupada writes is a big purport. We can actually meditate. The first part, Bilwa Mangal Thakur has said, we don't want mukti. Mukti comes and waits for a devotee. What does that mean? It means mukti we have already achieved. Mukti is waiting for us. Okay, you want mukti? Here you go. But a devotee is not after mukti because he is deriving something more pleasurable than that is service of Krishna, even in this material body. That's the beauty of devotional service. Hena prema Shri Chaitanya dilaya tha tha jagai madhai paryanta anyera ka katha. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has freely given his love to Krishna everywhere and anywhere, even to the most fallen, such as Jagai and Madhai. What then to speak of those who are already pious and elevated? Someone would like to read 20? Purport of 20.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can read.
Yeah.
Purport. The distinction between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift to human society and the gifts of others is what, whereas so called philanthropic and humanitarian workers have given some relief to human society as far as the body is concerned. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offers the best facilities for going back home, back to Godhead, with love of Godhead. If one seriously makes a comparative study of the two gifts, certainly if he is at all sober, he will give the greatest credit to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was with this purpose that Kaviraj Goswami said, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Daya Kahare Vichara Vichara Karila Chitte Pabe Chamatkara. If you are indeed interested in logic and argument, kindly apply it to the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you do so, you will find it to be strikingly wonderful. CC Adilila 8.15. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Dina yata chila harina me udarila tara saksi jagai madhai. The two brothers Jagai and Madhai epitomize the sinful population of this age of Kali. They were they were most disturbing elements in society because they were meat eaters, drunkards, woman hunters, rogues, and thieves. Yet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered them. To say nothing of others who were sober, pious, devoted, and conscientious. What is that, Prabhu?
Conscientious.
Conscientious. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that, to say nothing of the Brahminically qualified devotees and Rajrishis, Kim Punar Brahmanah Punya Bhakta Rajarshayas Tatha. Anyone who by the association of a pure devotee comes to Krishna consciousness becomes eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.32, the Lord thus declares, माम ही प्रथा व्यप, व्यापार व्यापार स्त्रीत्या येपि
Yeah.
ये
Mam hi partha vyapashritya yepi स्युः पापयोनयः स्त्रियो वैश्यास् तथा शूद्रास् तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम्.
Ram Gati. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, and Shudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the two fallen brothers Jagai and Madhai, but the entire world is presently full of Jagais and Madhais, or in other words, woman hunters, meat eaters, gamblers, thieves, and other rogues, who create all kinds of disturbances in society. The activities of such persons have now become common practices. It is no longer considered abominable to be a drunkard, woman hunter, meat eater, thief, or a rug, for those elements have been assimilated by the human society. That does not mean, however, that the abominable qualities of such persons will help free human society from the clutches of Maya. Rather, they will entangle humanity more and more in the reactions of the stringent laws of material nature. One's activities are all performed under the influence of the modes of material nature, prakriti, kriyamanani, gunai karmani, sarvasa. Because people are now associating with the modes of ignorance, tamogun, and to some extent passion, rajogun, with no trace of goodness, sattvagun. They are becoming increasingly greedy and lusty, for this is the effect of associating with these modes. Tada rajas tamo bhavah kama lobha kama lo lobha dasyascha yeha. By associating with the two lower qualities of material nature, one becomes lusty and greedy. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam 1.2.19. Actually, in modern human society, everyone is greedy and lusty, and therefore the only means for deliverance is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement, which can promote all the Jagais and Madhais to the topmost position of Stava Sattva Guna or Brahminical culture. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.18 to 19 states, नस्तप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी तत् तदा रजस्तमो भाव कामलोभदस्य ये चेता इतिर अनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति. Considering the chaotic condition of human society, if one actually wants peace and tranquility, one must take to the Krishna consciousness movement and engage always in Bhagavad Dharma. Engagement in Bhagavad Dharma dissipates all ignorance and passion. And when ignorance and passion are dissipated, one is freed from greed and lust. When greed from sorry when freed from greed and lust, one becomes Brahminically qualified. And when a Brahminically qualified person makes further advancement, he becomes situated on the Vaishnava platform. It is only on this Vaishnava platform that it is possible to awaken one's dormant love of Godhead. And as soon as one does so, his life is successful. At present, human society is specifically cultivating the mode of ignorance, tamogun, although there may also be some symptoms of passion, rajogun, full of kama and lobha, lust and greed. The entire population of the world consists mostly of Shudras and a few Vaishyas, and gradually it is coming about that there are Shudras only. Communism is a movement of Shudras and capitalism is meant for Vaishyas. In the fighting between those two factions, the Shudras and Vaishyas gradually due to abominable condition of society, the communist will emerge triumphant, and as soon as this takes place, whatever is left of society will be ruined. The only possible remedy that can counteract the tendency towards communism is the Krishna. Uh, 1 second, I lost it, Prabhu. Ha, is the Krishna consciousness movement, which can give even communists the real idea of communist society. According to doctrine of communism, the state should be the proprietor of everything. But the Krishna consciousness movement, expanding this same idea, accepts God as the proprietor of everything. People cannot understand this because they have no sense of God. But the Krishna consciousness movement can help them to understand God and to understand that everything belongs to God. Since everything is the property of God, and all living entities, not only human beings but even animals, birds, plants, and so on, are children of God, everyone has the right to live at the cost of God with God consciousness. This is the sum and substance of Krishna consciousness movement. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful purport. Any points, Mataji?
Prabhuji, many good points, but better you say. Like, I would say Prabhupada nicely connected communism and those things with Krishna consciousness, like the proprietorship and ownership. So that was really very good, Prabhu, like the way he connected.
Yeah. Okay. Here in the translation, in the verse, it is said that he has freely given his love to Krishna, of Krishna everywhere and anywhere, even to the most fallen, such as Jagai and Madhai. What then to speak of those who are already pious from everywhere? When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets Rupa and Sanatana, they pray to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like this. They say, Jagai and Madai are very elevated. Why? Because they are ignorant. They were drunkards, woman hunters, dacoits, murderers, and plunderers. But they are just sins which can be erased by just chanting your holy name once, my dear Lord. But we are so fallen. This is Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami saying, we are so fallen that we are working like a low class Shudra just for the sake of money, despite having a Brahminical birth, and supporting an Ugrakarmi, who is the Mughal ruler, who is actually destroying the Vaishnava culture in this world. And we are actually augmenting him and helping him to progress in his mission of destroying Vaishnava culture and the Vaishnavas and the devotees. How fallen are we? At least Magai, Jagai, and Madai are only selfish and they are ignorant. That is just sin. That is just pap. That can be cleared by chanting the holy name of the Lord. But we are more fallen and we have no reprise apart from you, my dear Lord Chaitanya. We are very low class people. This is how they present themselves. Who is this presenting? Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Now think about us and put ourselves in the perspective. We buy the same milk where the mother cow is slaughtered just after the baby boy, the calf is born. If the calf is a boy, it is immediately thrown into the slaughterhouse to be slaughtered, end up on a plate. This is the respect they have for the father, the bull, because bull doesn't have any purpose in this existence of material world nowadays, because there were bullock carts. Bulls had a purpose. They were used to plow the land. So Krishna consciousness is not a separate faction that you just do it in 197 Dank Street and then go home and do our Ugra Karma. This is another bubble that we sometimes think Krishna consciousness or bhakti is just some activity of a society secluded in some building. Krishna consciousness is betterment for the entire human race, whether it be politics, sociology, economics, psychology, anywhere. So therefore, Prabhupada, you will see he brings in communism. Prabhupada is bringing so many perspectives of Krishna consciousness. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given is not so minuscule that we just do it in our own nice society of 10,000, 20,000, or 100,000 devotees. It is not that. It is related to the entire human society. That is why Varnashrama system is a prerogative for human existence. That is how Jagai and Madhai comparison was there to Rupa Goswami. And then Prabhupada in the third purport, he says the two brothers epitomize the sinful population of this age of Kali. They were most disturbing elements in the society because they were meat eaters, drunkards, woman hunters, rogues, and thieves. Yet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave. So this is the Udarata of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then in the last paragraph, and the last but one, Prabhupada writes, considering the chaotic condition of human society, if one actually wants peace and tranquility, one must take to Krishna consciousness movement. And then when freed from greed and lust, one becomes Brahmanically qualified. So this is very important for us to understand. Engagement in Bhagavata Dharma dissipates all ignorance and passion. Tada rajas tamo bhavaha kama lobhadayaschaye. What is the symptom of a Brahmana or a Vaishnava? He is devoid of ignorance and passion. And therefore, because he is devoid of ignorance, passion, he will not have kama and lobha, greed and lust, greed for material wealth, greed for accumulation of material paraphernalia, and lusty desires. Lusty desires means what? Lust means anything to do with sense gratification. I want to feed my senses. A Vaishnava, Prabhupada always uses this, saying, simple living, high thinking. That is the quality of a Vaishnava. Simple living, very simple. He lives very simply and he has high thinking. sometimes when we are in the preaching arena, just to attract the new people, we tend to put a label that we are working in such a corporate environment, we have such a position in the corporate environment. But sometimes, without our knowledge, we get carried away by those upadhis, by those definitions of positions we hold, and therefore we get into the problem of kama and lobha. Oh, sorry, I did not realize it's 56. I'll just discuss the last paragraph and then end here. Sorry, my sincere apologies. I didn't have a track of time. And the last paragraph is very important about communism and capitalism. That's very interesting because the whole world is running on this. America runs on capitalism, China runs on communism. The concept of both is Shudra and Vaishya. And everybody says, my practice is better and my practice is better. But actually, both practices are horrible because there is no Krishna in the picture. They all want to satisfy their own egos. Prabhupada says the best communism is Krishna consciousness. Then everybody will be happy. Krishna is in the center of everything that is to be done. That is why it also is important of how Varnashrama system can be applied to us as individuals, then to the family, which is the smallest unit of a society, how a mother and father act in a society, how they bring up their children to become Krishna conscious and train them to become Krishna conscious and not become into mode of greed and lust. And then that family then begins to form a part of a society which is driven by mode of goodness predominantly. And then that society contributes to the human society in a country and to the human race in a proper way, based on the principles of the Bhagavata Dharma. So that is why if you see the larger scale of the picture, bhakti has a very critical role to play. Bhakti is just not what we do in the morning program. Bhakti is everything that we do in the 24 hours that has been given to us. Then we can see that Krishna consciousness movement is transforming the consciousness of the entire human race. And that is what Prabhupada is speaking about. It's a far-reaching purport, actually, if we really see. And Prabhupada gives this amazing perspective of Shudras and Vaishyas. Practically, he says there are no Brahmanas and no Kshatriyas. Everybody is a Shudra and a Vaishya here. Who is a Shudra? In one sense, Shudra is also used as derogatory term to say one who works for others and earns a living out of that. And Vaishya is just one who does business, selfishly does business. That is the one derogatory meaning of these two words. But there are proper meanings of Shudra and Vaishya also, if we put it in the perspective of real Varnashrama system. So therefore, this is a wonderful purport, and we have to meditate on these purports, actually, of how we can play a proper role in the society, how we can contribute, first being a proper devotee, and then taking the responsibility, if we are grihasthas, of how we bring up our family and how we contribute to the bigger society as well. So it is both sides. So I'll stop here. Have a wonderful Nirjala Ekadashi today. It's a very auspicious day, and this is a great day to remember Krishna, remember the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and meditate on the life of the Goswamis and the life of devotees in our life, in the parampara. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful Mangalvar. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. My apologies for taking a lot of time, extra 10 minutes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you
Hare
so much.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.